Another industry that I would say is a little bit hasn't bounced back as much as we thought, but we're equally bullish on, and that's gaming stocks. You and I are very, very bullish on Penn. MGM is a Fat Man Zoom special. On the heels of Caesar having some awesome earnings, and we've talked about some catalysts coming up. Where do you stand with gambling stocks, and which stocks for you would be the ones that you'd be looking at to get into?
I'm so glad you asked that. So one interesting thing that I think that a lot of people need to realize, if we look at the ETF BETZ, is BETZ. We can look at the casino industry as a whole and kind of see how far it's come down, which is pretty considerable. And we'll take a look at the chart in just a second. But I really wanted to kind of stress the point that we've seen the casino industry really kind of tail off since February, March. The entire industry, not just Penn stock. You guys know that we love Penn, but all of them. And a lot of it's been due to thoughts on it getting ahead of itself. Are we really reopening as fast as we need to? Sports obviously kind of been touch and go. Football season is upon us. Preseason starts next week, and I think that that's going to be one of the biggest catalysts moving forward for some of these gaming stocks, more importantly in sports betting in general. So we just heard from Caesars as well express that they saw 50% increase in margins for regional casinos. And this is without, Macau and all that. This is from Vegas, from all their other regional casinos. That's an insane number. If you guys don't follow the industry that well, 50% margin is great anywhere, but it is wild for regional casinos, for brick and mortar locations. The demand there is absolutely insane. And that leads me to my first stock, which is Caesars. I think Caesars announced yesterday also, or earlier in the week, that they now have a sports book. We take a look at the chart here, and it is having a bit of a down day, again, in response to some of the issues that we've seen with the Delta variant, which I think will be short-lived. You can look at Caesar and see that it is actually holding really nicely at the 200-day moving average, and I think that that's probably going to be an area that I would like to perhaps scoop some up on if you see value in Caesars. The next one's going to be MGM. Fat Man Zoom, if I asked you what the top two sports betting companies, what would you say they were?
DraftKings and MGM?
No. MGM's actually third. So it's FanDuel. It's FanDuel's number one.
That was a trick question.
No, it wasn't. Sorry.
But MGM is number 3.
Yes. MGM's number 3. And it's interesting because the daily fantasy sports, DraftKings is number 1, hands down. But the sports book side of things, which is much different. So you guys, I'm sure you're probably familiar with fantasy sports and just daily fantasy sports. You guys, a lot of you might be involved in baseball fantasy leagues and that sort of thing, NBA, and obviously football is in there too. But the sports betting side of it is different. DraftKings is number 2. FanDuel's number 1 by a large margin. 40% market share is what FanDuel takes ownership of. And then DraftKings is around 20% or so. And then MGM's coming up on the rear. And actually, MGM's pretty far behind that. I think that MGM could make up some ground here. We've also seen some high demand. They have earnings coming up from Caesars. I think that carries over into MGM. And there's so much potential here as well with them. And then it's number 3 is going to be Penn National. Obviously, no brainer. I don't think anybody would be surprised by this, but you look at the chart here also, it's holding up that $66 mark very well. The thing that Penn has going for them that nobody else does is the stoolies. 70 million people that they have, that they can reach, that it's at their fingertips, that they don't have to spend any extra money on. We heard from Caesars that they're spending $1 billion just on sports betting market for the next year. Penn National is not going to spend anywhere near that in marketing for their sports books because they don't have to. So I think that this is going to be something that also would be a really good opportunity to grab on. I know that we've experienced a lot of pain with Penn recently over the last couple of months, but I do think that we're going to start to see this turn around, and football season is upon us. I think that could be the inflection point for all of these.
Yeah, we're already in it, but I agree. It's interesting because Penn's earnings are tomorrow, right? Tomorrow, yes. Pre-market.
Yeah.
And so it is a little bit scary with earnings, and we know it could go lower, but it just seems like it's really set up for a good move. And even if it does go down, I have to wait through football season.
Yeah.
Like I just have to do it through Arizona launching gambling. Like there's just too many catalysts to not. There's a chance that Penn doesn't give great news. I think that's very small, like a small likelihood. So I think the odds are in our favor for Penn. We both have very substantial positions in it. So good luck tomorrow with Penn. Either we're going to be some miserable duds at 3:30 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow, or we're going to be happy as all hell with our Penn hoodies in summertime.
Yes.
So there you guys have it. Make sure you like and subscribe if you like this content.